Thank you for coming on the podcast, Fiona. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, doing really well, and thanks for joining me. So let's start off. In 60 seconds, can you sum up your journey through learning and development?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I started off in contact centres, worked for a wonderful company called Capita, and that gave me my first step into learning and development. One of the trainers took a chance and invested in me, and since then, I've just wanted to progress. And through my journey, I started the design aspect of the learning, creating learning experiences, both in classroom and e-learning. Then I moved into management, which I really enjoyed. I love leading a team and helping them progress. And now I'm the training lead at Many Pets, which I absolutely love. The culture's spot on. So yeah, that's my journey. 60 seconds.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, so as you know, today's podcast is all about the onboarding process. So when you think about a great onboarding process, what does it look and feel like?
Great onboarding feels intentional. Like it's not a process, it's an experience. So it's how it makes you feel. A new person into any company needs to feel welcome, supported, but excited as well about what's to come. They should know what success looks like in their role and have a look at all the tools and the stakeholders, get to meet them quite early on. It's structured but warm, and it's all about feeling invested. People are going to invest in you and your journey, and it just needs to be very exciting.
Yeah, you raised an interesting point that I'd like to delve into a bit. When you say warm, that's quite a yeah. Can you give us a bit more depth on that and delve into that side of things?
Absolutely. So we're in a world now where emails are quite popular, but what I've introduced in my recent role is we need to phone the new starters, make them connect with you on a human level, have that warm touch to start with. Even before they've started the training and joined the company, give them a call, just ask how they're feeling, and that makes all the difference.
And from a great onboarding process, what are some of the differences from sort of a standard induction process? Possibly what you've seen or what you've heard of, and that type of thing.
Yeah, I have seen quite a few of these
Mhm.
standard, normally a 1 day event or half a day event, but onboarding as a whole isn't a one-off PowerPoint or a morning with a coffee. It's the first couple of months of a new person joining a business. If we think about it, over our life, we've been in a position where we're looking for other jobs. That new person is probably waiting to hear back from other jobs too. We need to give them the confidence that we are the right business for them and get them on a journey with us, offer them support, offer them progression early. And any other people contacting them to give them the next interview, they're just going to say no because they trust and they feel connected with us early on. So that's the difference. It's all about that. It's a long-term investment that we're making, not just a morning or a day.
And do you, as in the L&D department, get involved with the actual, even before they start at your company? Would you be getting involved, or would you only be getting involved once they sign the dotted line as such?
It's an interesting question. So traditionally, L&D is something that happens after. But the way that we're progressing now within our business is L&D needs to be quite involved early on. We need to be talking to the recruiters. Like, what does that job entail? What will the training look like? Because new starters will have questions at the very first contact. How long's training? Where is it? What's expected of me? So we're looping in with the recruiters and also the people doing the interviews as well. So they're not hearing one thing and then another thing's getting delivered. As well, what I've started doing is giving the new starters a phone call the week before they're going to go to the office and meet me for the first time. They get to know my voice. I'm going to explain where I'm going to be stood, and I will be there. They'll give me a warm handshake and say it was nice to talk to you last week. So I think we need to be more involved on that journey from the very first.
Yeah, we'll dive into that a bit later into the actual whole process because I'm really intrigued to find out the different steps. Going back to it from an organisational standpoint, like why does onboarding matter so much for performance, engagement and retention?
Great question. I'm going to answer this with a theory that anyone in L&D or HR will know, and that's a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The way that we get people engaged to be part of the not only the business but invested in themselves and their journey is, yes, they need a job. We all need a job for money, etc., for that security level. But the next one is that love and belonging. We need them to feel like they belong and they can see themselves at this company for a long time. That's then going to get that buy-in from that new person early. They want to learn everything because they really see themselves progressing and staying within the company. And if we can do that in the first couple of weeks, months, then we've got a really great foundation for someone who's going to be so committed.
No, love that. Definitely making them feel part of the family is so important, and it can just lead to them feel comfortable, which actually gets the most out of staff and employees. So, no, brilliant. Can you walk us through the ideal onboarding journey from the moment someone accepts the job application to when they're fully up and running?
Absolutely. It starts before, well, it starts quite early on. Having that job advert out there, making sure that is a full picture of the job that entails. Because I have had a few people in the past, in past roles, come to training and not really know what the job is. What this could look like, the pre-boarding, is that it's a welcome email, access to a digital portal where they can keep an eye on everything that's happening, a note from their team manager just about what their targets are as a team, something that keeps the momentum going after the offer has been made. The first week then is about making them feel loved and belonging, and I mean loving. We love having them here, making them feel that they've made the right choice. A phrase that I often use is that the job market is so vast these days, full of lots of different options, hybrid working, remote working, in office working. For them to have chosen us is such an honour. And I role reverse it because we are lucky to have people choosing us. So not only do we have that in week one, we want to try and make them understand the why. Why is my role here and where does it fit? The second week to week 4 is about confidence building, pairing with mentors, hand on training, feedback loop, like the whole culture immersion into the company. But it doesn't end there. The months after the training are about performance, monitoring using our quality framework, and coaching, looking at their personal goals, reviewing progress of them, and just keeping them informed on how they're doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned so many different aspects, which we'll delve into a little bit each aspect as well. But how do you actually ensure that every new starter goes through that process? Do you have sort of a system procedure? Is each employee dedicated to a member of your team? Is it yourself? How's that process all performed successfully?
Well, I'm at Many Pets at the moment. I love working in this company with the culture that we have, and we have a dedicated training team, and we do a very well. We're just amazing at what we do. So each training group will be assigned a trainer quite early on, and that trainer will then have 2 weeks before the induction is meant to start to link in with our recruitment team, link in with the operation they're going on to, and set up all of the we call them training trackers, where we can tick list what we've done to help prepare for this group. We also keep all the information from after the training has happened in our academy week, where the guys go live at their job but in a safe environment where they can make mistakes and learn from them. We keep records of all of those. And then what we do is look at the glide path that happens after. How quickly were they to reach the KPIs that are set by the operation and so forth? We can keep looking at that data from months after they've joined.
Yeah, and when you have a particular employee starting, do you get then speak with their head of department, their potential manager, and actually explain this process that you're going to be going through? Like, how much buy-in are you getting from those particular departments?
Another great question in a recent project that we worked on. We have proposed the new training way of working across all operations, and it's we've shown what we can get. So the return in investment that you're going to have from letting us explain and be transparent about the whole onboarding process, your return of investment is so high because the new people joining know exactly what to expect. There are no surprises and they feel invested in. Therefore, the output and the performance that you're going to get is going to be high and you're going to get it a lot sooner.
Just going to delve in and say, what were some of the aspects that you actually proved the ROI?
So one of the good things that we're looking at is our speed to competency, and we're currently looking at that right now. The Academy Week is such a massive tool where people have that on-hand support. If they feel a bit stuck, they can just put the hand up and someone's there to support them. And we're seeing a lot higher quality percentage as a result of that. So that is one of the key factors, the key metrics that we're looking at.
Got you. And how can we make the first day feel welcoming but also productive?
The first day is very much just a meet and greet. It's about, again, thanking them for choosing us, show them about the company, the culture, the values, our mission. We also have started having a bit of a meet and greet, a very personalized message from our CEO,
Wow.
video. Yeah, so all of our new starters meet our CEO in the very first few days. If it's not day one, it is very, very early on. So they feel connected and valued from the get-go.
And which other team members are they meeting that first day?
We've got our CEO, our senior leadership team members, and their team leaders as well. If we know who the team leaders are for day one, if not, they will meet them as soon as we've allocated them to whichever team.
Yeah. And how do we make sure onboarding is in line with the company's strategy and culture?
We build onboarding around the company value and strategy. Look at the goals and having that mindset of what I'm doing now, will that make the boat go faster, if you like that metaphor? But yeah, really embedded in examples of the culture into every step that we do, whether it's who speaks during the onboarding or when feedback's given after every onboarding session, that we can just make it improve and tweak it every time. We're really proud of the work that we've done with our onboarding process at the moment.
I love that and understanding the depths that your organisation goes into. I know I've had previous experiences where it's just sort of starting a job and there you go. And it was like,
Yeah, exactly. There's been some jobs that I've gone to and they just give me a handbook and just read that and start.
yeah, and previously you mentioned about the portal that new employees, before they even go to their first day, are you just got like sort of generic information involved in that? What is there any key bits that sort of plan out?
That's a great question. So one of the portals, many companies use this these days as well, but it's for their HR aspect. So making sure the right to work documents in place, making sure we've got their bank details, any vulnerabilities or disabilities that we need to be aware of, which can then feed into training. So we need to know about any learning disabilities so we can tweak our training style. But also, at many pets, we ask some fun questions such as your shoe size, what your preferences are, chocolates or sandwiches, because we do some welcome packs and some summer packs that they send out to all employees. So it's nice to get that information so they can be included in these packs of goodies that get sent out.
Okay, and for different type of learners, because we all tend to learn different ways, do you figure that out at the beginning? Do you slightly tailor the process? How does it work for each individual?
Another good question. So I get them to do. I ask the new starters to complete a learning style questionnaire quite early on in the training, which then gives people a more insight of their own learning preferences. I understand that learning preferences and styles can change throughout a process and depending what that topic is. However, it's a good starting point and it gets everyone aware and accountable for their own learning. And that's what I do. I ask them to then, right, this is your learning style, your base learning style. You need to find out different ways you can enhance your learning in these styles. However, I also have some tricks up my sleeve. So for our auditor learners, we've got a lot of AI technology which will audio most of the written documents. We also have video editing, so I can videoize for anyone who's got ADHD or autism, because cartoons are easier to digest. Everyone loves a cartoon. We also have great buddies and academy coaches who will be side by side learning and shadowing. And we have role play techniques too. So regarding the learning styles and be able to adapt the training, we've got quite a vast options available. But ultimately, I like to put the accountability of their own learning back on the new starter. They have to tell me or tell the trainer what's working for them and what's not, and then we can be proactive and we can find other elements of that particular learning style to help them.
Yeah. And if you got someone, for example, that was, because I know you mentioned about finding their goals and what they want to achieve both personally and professionally, if they had very ambitious goals for, let's say, within the business and they wanted to move up the corporate ladder as such, would you slightly tailor it and how would you potentially tailor it in those situations?
It's a tricky one because they've been hired for a certain particular role, but I do love ambitious people. I'm one myself, so I will always look for what's next. So it's just showing them where the job adverts would be available, highlighting to their manager that they are passionate about progression. So then they can book in shadow time after they've passed certain goals they would need to pass before being able to move up, such as probation being a common one across the board. Once they've passed probation, they can shadow other departments to see if that is actually what they want to do, or maybe it was something they thought they might like, but now they've seen it, they've changed their mind, etc. So it'll be about documenting from the L&D perspective and just showcasing what they could, what's available, what's out there.
I love that. And for L&D teams, how can they measure whether onboarding is successful?
We've got some metrics that we keep an eye on. One of them is retention. So, does anyone drop out during the first couple of months? And what was the reason for it? Could it have been something we could prevent? We also have their quality score and their productivity score that we just keep an eye on. So, we're interested in that speed to competency and how that looks. So, if they are out of training and they continue up that glide path, we're doing our job right. If they kind of don't and they start to pivot or even decrease that line, then yeah, something's gone wrong and we need to investigate what's happened with that particular learner.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And if an L&D department has a small budget, or there might just be one or two people, what are some of the things that they could implement, strategies that they could do today, this week, if they've got new starters, to actually, well, even before new starters, should I say, to start planning and preparing?
That's a really good question. So recently, we've invested in software, so systems to help us with the e-learn design. I spoke about that AI system that we're using to help with the audio aspect. So looking at that, making sure we've got the right tools to be able to design the training correctly. But on another level, looking at training the managers in the sense that the onboarding continues after the first few weeks with L&D. Are you doing everything you can do? Are you leading with confidence? Are you doing, you know, um, everything that you can do to support your new starters? And not just managers, but maybe everyone. Do a bit of training for everyone about how to welcome new starters into the team. So maybe short workshops on how to inclusive training. But ultimately, it's all about investing in the team that we've got, making sure that they're fully comfortable with what onboarding means and what our company's view and goals are with onboarding.
No, that makes sense. I had a great conversation with someone yesterday, and we was talking about sort of how their organisation has incorporated coaching into the whole process. And I know you did mention about that in your onboarding process. So I'd just like to delve into that a little bit and get a bit of an understanding, because some of the points we were raising were the fact that we learn so much in just day-to-day interactions,
Yeah.
and opposed to actually just being in a classroom for the day, we learn so much about little aspects of the job all the time. So if you can just sort of delve into that coaching aspect.
Coaching is such an important thing when it comes to learning and growth. Absolutely right. So, coaching with confidence, there are two styles of coaching. One is a organized one with your manager, and it might be over a certain topic, which the new starter would lead. And then the other one is your peer coaching. Just handy hints and tips that they've picked up along the way. They don't even realize they're coaching. It's just a natural conversation of, hey, did you know that this did this? If you click this button, this will go faster. Those are the priceless bits. And without our side by side mentoring within an induction plan, not much knowledge would get passed on at all. And me from L&D, it hurts me to say this, but not everyone is going to learn from classroom environment. We know this. We know that slides and being taught things and trained at, everyone needs to see it in action. Even if you are like an audio learner, you still need to see what's happening. You need to learn from people who've been doing it. That's how real knowledge is passed. And yeah, the peer coaching is a huge part of that.
And do you actually do, I want to say, like coaching to coaching? So do you train your colleagues and the managers as such to how to actually have those conversations?
I don't train the mentors. However, when it comes to management, then yeah, they have a coaching with confidence class. So how to do the coaching and not just slide into training. So it's really interesting coaching. So we recently had a session with some of the managers, and they all thought coaching and training were the same thing. And it was so good to have this conversation and just being open and honest and like, no, coach it. You can coach on anything. You don't have to be an expert on it. You need them to listen. Well, no, sorry. You need to listen to them, their points, their ideas, and question like what's stopping you from doing that. And you I wish you were there. You could have heard like the pennies drop. They were like, wow, that's amazing. That's so different. So coaching is just giving them a safe place to question and really figure out ideas or try something and make a mistake. That's what the art of coaching is about.
No, that makes perfect sense. And we've discussed the onboarding process, and there's so many aspects involved in it. How do we do it so people getting the correct information, what they need, but without overwhelming them?
Slowly, that's what we would do. um, yeah, you've really got to balance the day out and balance your structure out for onboarding. So there's two elements to onboarding. You've got one that I'm currently involved in is a 3 weeks onboarding induction. So I'm responsible for the welfare of a new group and teaching them, training them all of the aspects and planning in their shadowing time and marking some assessments along the way too to make sure that I'm teaching it in a way that it's retaining in their mind. You also have an onboarding which might not be an operational side, let's say an onboarding into IT. The majority of that will be side by side coaching. So getting the most out of it will depend on what area you're looking at. From my point of view, and making sure it's not too impactful, is making sure the group are fully aware of the structure of the day, asking if there's any elements they want me to change, such as the break time, the lunch times. I always have a few backup sessions up my sleeve too. If I can feel that the room has taken what it can for that particular day, I will switch to a more soft skill activity rather than a classroom based session. So it's just being really flexible, having a schedule, but being able to go away from that if the room is giving you the hint that they've taken
Yeah,
on what they can for the day.
yeah, that makes sense. And so, first of all, how long does the onboarding process last, in your opinion?
I would say between 4 to 6 months.
Wow, wow. I was not expecting you to say that long, to be honest.
Well, I think it starts from before they join because still that person might have other offers coming through. So we need to seem attractive enough that they're sticking with us, they're good. We've got the training aspect, which can be up to 4 to 5 weeks, not 45 weeks, depending in what industry they're going into. You will have the first month outside of the training area where we're actually looking at their KPIs. Are they doing the job? Are they giving the results? Then you've got the last month where we're still looking at that glide path. So we're on month 3 already. We're not yet past probation. So I think traditionally it's the end of the third month, isn't it, for most companies? So The onboarding experience starts long before their first day. It starts when they're talking to the recruiter, having their interview. They're making a judgment about the company and who they're meeting. It can happen, it'll carry on for when they receive their IT equipment, to when they're putting their information onto the portal, for when the training team call, their manager emails. All of that will happen before their first day. Then they could be in training up to 5 weeks, so all of that experience as well. Then their first week doing their job outside of training. We're looking at that glide path then over the next couple of months to see if they are performing. Have they learnt everything they need to do the job well? And are we now achieving what we would expect? Whilst we're looking at that, they're also looking at their manager, their team, the processes. They're judging still whether this is a company, have they made the right choice? And that's what we need to be aware of too. So we're both trialing each other on this onboarding session. So I think between 4 to 5 months is a good, maybe generous, but I think that's a good time frame of when I think the onboarding process.
I love the way how you look at it as it's a sort of symbiotic relationship, how it is the employee and it's the company, and it's about both being the correct fit. And I think giving that amount of time allows both the whole team and that individual to understand whether they're right for the company, whether they can hit the goals and targets and fit into that culture. So I really enjoyed your answer and how you actually delved into that side of things. Something I am very interested in. So we've covered a number of different factors within the whole process, but then how do you actually assess? I know you mentioned about metrics and stuff, but when it comes to the end, do you speak to the employees and ask them their opinions and actually delve into that aspect?
100%. So after the training element, we do feedback forms. So we ask their opinion. Normally, our feedback forms is just around the training environment. Our people team will send us another survey, which is about their onboarding journey, which includes a bit of training. So they get two surveys, lucky them. One is just about what trainer you had, was the training content fit for purpose? Were we able to any other type of training content which would suit their learning needs, etc. And then the people team would need to send a different one which captures the whole element. So recruitment, interviews, then transition from training to the team. So that questionnaire goes into more depth of the whole period. But we get a copy of it in the L&D team too, because we should be involved in every aspect of that anyway. So we need to
Yeah,
be kept in the loop.
no, that makes sense. Who is involved throughout the whole process? So obviously you've got yourselves. How interlinked are you with HR when it comes to that process?
Great question. So the main people, the stakeholders will be whatever department put the hire request in. So they will be kept into the loop at each point. HR also go into loop because they're the ones who do the contract, and our working from home equipment also goes through that process too. And we're kept into loop when we need to be in certain areas.
That's amazing. In